So my intention in making this is not to attempt to attack AA, NA, 12-step fellowship and whatnot. As much as the next guy, as much as the next atheist introvert, maybe I should say, I love a little recreational digging into AA. I've been outspoken for years about not really vibing, shall we say, with AA. But this is not a criticism of that. This is a point that is to be made about concurrent treatment models. And when I say concurrent treatment models, I mean like it's kind of in vogue in a lot of, modern drug rehabs where they will have like a therapy component, let's say during the day, which will be led by, like a group facilitator type person who is likely well educated and knows a lot of stuff about psychology and neuroscience and whatnot. And then, the clients will also be required to attend, X amount of AA meetings per week or something, and we'll say that's going on in the evening. So you'll have this, this treatment model where people are doing clinical work during the day and fellowship work in the evening. Okay, so with that said, what do I mean by locus of control? It may sound kind of exotic if you've never heard the topic before, but it's actually very straightforward. You can do your own research on the internet if you really want to dive deep into locus of control. But at the same time, I will try and summarize it with a few examples. So essentially, locus of control breaks down into external locus and internal locus. It could be paralleled with something like motivation. There's internal motivation and there's external motivation. There's an internal locus and an external locus, and it basically means just your belief system, what drives you forward in life. Do you think that you're in control of your destiny, you're in control of your future, or do you think external factors are more in control? So we'll just give a couple examples. Example number one might be, say that you're a short guy, and you are having a hard time dating. It could be, more along the lines of external locus of control would be like saying, just statements, women don't like short men. Oh, the statistics say that women don't like short men. This is hopeless. I'm not even going to try because we live in this society where all women want tall men and, woe is me. Whereas a more internal locus might be like, well, yeah, that might be true to an extent, but I fully have the power within myself to develop and hone, the good attributes that I have. I can be confident, I can be athletic or whatever. I can overcome this and, it won't be an issue. So, that's internal locus. External locus might be, we're under a pandemic, the economy's not doing well. What would be the point of starting a business? It would be hopeless, versus an internal locus might be like, well, maybe I can start a business that would prosper during a pandemic, or I can figure out how to make money when other people are losing money or whatnot. And a lot of modern pop psychology, I'm just thinking generally podcasts or self-help books and stuff, a lot of it's about helping people operate more under an internal locus of control. And again, you see this in clinical rehab settings a lot too, where you're not the label of drug addict, you're not your past, you're not this or that, you have the power to get a job, don't be worried about your record or all of this guilt and shame and everything. A lot of clinical drug rehab is teaching people that they have the power within them to achieve their goals and live a good life despite probably a history of depression and other psychological conditions and whatnot. And then we go on to our friend AA. So the whole 12-step model, fellowship, sponsor, and everything, it's pretty much entirely an external locus of control thing. And by that I mean, well, there's this, you have, the disease model of addiction and 12-step recovery have become like these peculiar bedfellows in modern times, but like it's almost as if they want to take this concept of, the disease of addiction. I mean, obviously the disease of addiction is something greater than you. It's been in the driver's seat for years and whatnot. You have this disease that is so powerful that you have no hope of ever being able to operate in any way other than total abstinence with this disease. The concept of the disease of addiction is an external locus of control. This disease is greater than you and it is controlling your life. So it's as if AA wants to take the external control and transfer it from the disease model to the very concept of AA and the steps and sponsorship and whatnot. And we've all heard it. It's like, you know nothing, and I'm patronizing a little bit here, but it's like, nothing, shut up and do what your sponsor says. You're stinking thinking got you this seat here. Nothing. You just need to work the steps, listen to your sponsor, do what the group says, cross your I's and dot your T's, cross your T's and dot your I's, etc. And there's this idea that, like, as long as you do everything, this blind obedience to, and again, this is why people say that it feels like a cult. This blind obedience to 12-step recovery, your life will improve. But it has to be like this total loyal, just, follow just follow all the rules and everything. So we have a situation where an individual who is going through such a concurrent recovery program is being told during the day, or being, it's impressed on them during the day that they need to operate more under an internal locus. You do have power. You have the power to change everything. You're not, all of these things that you think are greater than you. And then at nighttime, you're in this external locus of control situation where nothing, your stinking thinking got you here, and you just need to, surrender. So I think that this is one of those things that, like, not everyone's going to sit down and intellectualize to death like I am, but I think people do sometimes, like, feel tugged in opposite directions a lot in recovery, and this is kind of a thing that I think could have someone feeling like some type of subconscious confusion, where it's like, it's like you feel pressured to behave in ways that seem kind of contradictory. And so I guess we can move on to the question of, like, okay, so can this be reconciled? You might say something like, well, I'm going to operate in internal locus mode during the day, and I'll just operate under external locus mode at night and kind of chameleon my way through things. Well, that might work to an extent regarding your clinical, but I mean, AA is going to say half measures, whatever their cheesy phrase is about half measures got you nowhere or something. The very concept of only operating under the external control of AA, during those time slots is attempting to cheat the program. And it's going to be snuffed out by any sponsor, worth their while in the framework. So, no, I think that in general, I'd really sit down and think about why I just get this bad feeling from AA. And yeah, it's partially because I am not a believer, and it's partially because I'm not a people person, and I'm an introvert who generally doesn't want to be bothered. But I needed something with a bit more, I guess, a bit more like actual, like, emotional substance to it as to what rubs me the wrong way. And I think it's this exact thing. A lot of my self-healing and self-development over the years have been learning to live more under an internal locus of control. That I'm not, that's just what I said before, like I'm not my past, I'm not my reputation, this, that, and the other thing, that I have the power to carve a life, a desirable life for myself despite all of these setbacks, and it feels good. It feels good when you have these kind of revelations and you work hard and you feel like you're in the driver's seat, you're getting that self-confidence and everything. It feels really good. And then it's like almost like AA wants to just poke at that. It wants to poke at it. And that's not cool. And it's going to, it's almost feels like an attack on my, an attack on something that genuinely feels in all other aspects like it's very good for me and whatnot. So, yeah, I don't think these things kind of can be reconciled. Yeah, to an extent, I do think that, I think that as one progresses through AA and gets onto the later steps and stuff, then yeah, I think there is some stuff written into the later steps and later development that does seem a little more of like the internal locus. But right out the gate, and that's what I'm talking about when I say concurrent recovery, right out the gate, someone fresh into this, yeah, you're going to be tugged in opposite directions. So like one last thought that I had was like, okay, so you have the serenity prayer. God grant me the, I can't remember right off the top of my head. It's like the, to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Like it almost feels, to an extent, like the things that, that you can change is like the internal locus version, and the things that you can't change is like kind of like the external. But at the same time, like the whole very concept of surrendering and asking God to grant you this serenity, to make this distinction, you're surrendering to God, who is a force greater than you, i.e., an external locus of control. So yeah, the serenity prayer too, it's predicated on an external locus of control. So I guess that's all I really have on this topic. Please tell me in the comments, like if you feel what I'm putting out in this video, because I am curious to know if like anyone else has kind of felt this, or if me laying this out perhaps resonates with one of you, makes a bit of sense and whatnot. Take care, guys.